So here I have like a page with content. The content can be static, dynamic, it doesn't really matter. This is static content. I have a post title, a subtitle, a content section, and then a bunch of paragraphs and headings starting with H2. We then have H3, H4, and so on. The idea is to group these headings so we can build a nice indented table of contents. If we scroll up, we have this TOC component here. We'll go inside it, and the first thing we'll want to do is grab all the heading elements inside the content area. So let's do that. We'll do window.document.querySelector £content, and this will basically narrow our search within the content element. And then we'll do querySelector all and pass all the headings separated by a comma. So we'll have H1, H2, H3, and so on. However, when this code executes, the DOM is not ready yet. There is no HTML to query from. So this querySelector content will return null, and calling this on null will throw an error. To make it work, we'll need to put it inside an onMounted hook. So we'll grab all this and do onMounted, and we'll pass a callback with our code. Now what we want to do next is create a reactive array that will hold an object representation of these headings. So I'll go here and say const headings equals ref, and we'll have an empty array as a default value. Then here we'll loop through the elements, so we'll do for each, el, and push an object representation of the heading inside the headings array. So we'll do headings.value.push. We'll have an object, and in this object I want something like level so we can compare the headings between them. Here we can do el, grab the tag name, and use the char_add function to grab the number from the tag name. Of course, this needs to be an actual number, not a string, so we'll use the parseInt function to convert it into an integer. Next up, we'll need the text content of the heading. We can grab that using el inner text. And finally, we'll need another array to store any subheadings this heading might have. Let's go ahead and console log the headings to see what we have. And we have ref is not defined. That's because I forgot to import it. And here are our headings and their corresponding level. Okay, let's actually display them in the UI. So I'll go down here and create an unordered list. We'll have li v4 heading in headings, and here we'll display heading.content. And here they are. What we want to do next is create a grouped version of these headings where each item goes under its parent. So we'll have something like a computed property. So let's say const grouped headings, and this will be computed. Let's make sure we import that from Vue. And then the easiest way to create this hierarchy of headings is to start from the bottom and try to find the parent of this heading. So we'll go up, and once we find the parent, we'll take this item and push it inside the subheadings array. And then we'll remove it from the main array. So the first thing we're going to do is clone the headings array because we'll want to mutate it. So we'll do let items equals a new array, and then we'll use destructuring to grab the values from the headings.value array. Then we'll want to iterate in reverse, so we'll start from the end. We'll do for let I equals items.length -1. I needs to be bigger or equal than 0, and then with each iteration we'll decrease its value. So now if we console log items of I, and use this computed property inside our template, otherwise it won't be called. Now if I open the console, you'll see that the first item is actually the last one. Then we have YZ secure and so on. So we basically go from the bottom to, or from the end to the start. What we need to do now is try to find the parent of each item. So we'll go here and we'll do let current item equals items of I. And to find the parent item, we can do items and use the find last function, which takes in a callback with item and index. And then the item we want to find is one whose level is lower than our current item level, but that it's also positioned before it. So index needs to be lower than I. Then if a parent item is found, we'll want to add our current item to the start of its subheadings array. So we'll do parent item subheadings on shift, current item, and then we'll remove the current item from the items array. So we'll use splice. We'll pass it the current index and then 1. And of course, here we need to return the items. Then we can go in our template, and instead of headings, we'll use grouped headings. Refresh, and now we have fewer headings, but if we open the Vue DevTools and check out the grouped headings, we'll see that, for example, the first heading has another subheading. The second one doesn't have a subheading, but the last one has a subheading, and that subheading has another subheading. So we're going to level 4 here. Now to display all these, we need to use a bit of recursion. To do that, I'll create a new component. So I'll go here and do toc list.view. And this will basically be a component that will render our list of headings. So let's grab this. Go here and we'll have script setup. Template, paste this in. Oh, autocomplete VS Code, thank you very much. Okay, we have group headings here. We'll just have items, and this will be an item. Let's define the props. We'll do const props equals define props. We'll have items, which will be an array. Now we can go back to our toc component and import the toc list component. Let's grab it and use it here. We'll pass the items, which will be grouped headings. Refresh, and there they are. Now inside the toc list, we'll do toc list, but only if the item has subheadings. So we'll do v-if item subheadings length, and we'll pass items, which will be item subheadings. And let's also add a bit of left margin. And there they are. But as you can see, these are pretty useless. Ideally, I should be able to click on them and scroll down to the appropriate section. To do that, we'll need some anchor tags and some IDs. So let's go back where we grab our headings. So here, and let's also add an ID. Now we could generate some random number or some UUID, but what it would be nice is to have the heading text slugified and use that as an ID. To do so, I know a very good library called Slugify by Sindre something. So let's pull this in. I'll grab this, open the terminal and say npm install, paste that in. And while that is installing, I know we can create unique HTML IDs. So we need to import slugify with counter and use it like this. So let's grab these two lines, go here, paste them in. And basically here I want to generate the ID. So we'll do let ID equals slugify of, and let's grab the inner text from here. And then the first thing I need to do is set the heading ID. So el set attribute ID equals ID. And then I want to make sure I pass this ID to our headings array. Now, if we refresh this page and inspect the headings, so let's say, for example, this one, its ID is Laravel Sanctum common mistakes. We then have misconfiguring course and so on. And just in case any of these headings might end up being the same, the Slugify with counter will add a number, so the ID will always be unique. Now that we have IDs, we can go ahead and add anchor tags to our list elements. So this will be an anchor tag, and the ref will be equals to pound item.id. And we need a $sign here. Let's refresh, go up, click on a link, and we are scroll down to the correct section. And that was it. Let's add some bit of styling. So I'll add some spacing between the elements, space Y3. Then for the anchor tag, we'll do, let's say, text, actually hover, text, orange 500, and hover underline. Let's add some offset to the underline, like 4. That's nice. And let's also add some spacing here. So we'll do emph3. And another cool thing we could do is make the text for the root headings a bit thicker. To do that, we could go here and turn this into a group, give it a class of children or subheadings. And then here we could do font semi-bold. And this will make the text thicker. But then to target the child elements or the subheadings, we can do group and then square brackets, subheadings, and then use it as a variant. So we'll do font normal. And there we go. These are semi-bold, these are normal text. Looks a bit nicer, I think. To close things up, we could add some protection. So here, if this query selector returns null, this will blow up. So let's add optional chaining. Let's also turn this selector into a prop. So we'll have props dot, let's say, content selector. Let's define the props here. Define props, and we'll have content selector, which will be a string. Type string and required true. Let's go to our TOC page and make sure we pass that in. Refresh, and here it is. And finally, let's make sure we don't display anything if no headings were found. So here we'll do if grouped headings dot length. And that was it.